The former president is posting about you today, writing, his name is Chris Sununu, and he is now the very unpopular governor of New Hampshire, who endorsed Nikki Birdbrain Haley, who is seldom able to beat crooked Joe Biden in the polls. These are his words, of course, and will never beat the Democrat instead of Democratic Party. In reality, Sununu is Chris Christie without the weight. He does lots of television and just spews out false fact after false fact. So since that just came out on Truth Social, I guess on Twitter, I wanted to give you a chance to respond. Are you still going to vote for Donald Trump against Joe Biden?
Yeah, look. Well, look, I'm pretty proud that I am one of the more popular governors in the country, and it's not just because of what we do and how we do it. It's New Hampshire. We do things a little differently. It's about brain. It's about connectivity. It's about getting out there and not just coming in, flying in, doing a big rally and flying out, right? It's connecting with voters, right? And that's what Nikki's doing. So, again, Donald Trump is scared. He wouldn't be writing any of that if he wasn't scared to death about the fact he's looking at his own internal numbers. He knows how close this race is getting. He was told by the whole world and the press that he was going to, run away with Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, and especially here in New Hampshire, we're now challenging that, right? We always wanted to get a strong second, and I feel very confident we're going to be there. But now to defy what everyone said was possible and potentially even beat him, I mean, it's a long shot to be sure, but she's doing it. Her numbers are rising every single day. Trump is scared, and he should be. He's not strong. He's scared to be called on his record. He won't get on a debate stage with her. He won't do any of the things that you really need to do to connect with voters. So yeah, it's the sign of the times for Donald Trump, the beginning of the end.
So yes or no, if he turns out to have the nomination against Joe Biden, would you still vote for him?
Oh, sure. Look, I'm going to support the Republican nominee. Guys, look at what Biden has done. This Bidenomics is crushing middle America families right here in New Hampshire. Everything from fuel prices to supply chain issues. The border is a serious issue. You have Democrats turning on Joe Biden now because of his complete dereliction of duty on the southern border. So, no, of course we're going to support the Republican nominee. That's how bad Joe Biden is. He's actually made it so Donald Trump can actually challenge him.
Gotta love the moderate Republican, not to be confused with the extremist Republican, what with both groups quite literally being identical to each other. This is Republican Governor Chris Sununu putting the concept of cognitive dissonance on full display in that he's able to effectively articulate the argument against Donald Trump in favor of his preferred Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley, only to then be asked if he'd still vote for Trump if he's the nominee, to which he, of course, says that he would. Because lest there be any doubt, for Republicans, it is always party over country. Also, notice how Sununu justifies his spinelessness by deflecting to the purported damage that Joe Biden has wrought onto the economy. Only, small problem, the stock market is right now at its all-time high. The unemployment rate is at a 50-year low. The GDP is double what it was when Trump was in office. Biden added nearly 14.5 million jobs, the most of any president in modern American history. Contrast that with Trump, who was the only president to lose jobs in modern American history. Hell, contrast that with the entire modern Republican Party, which in the last 3 decades has never created more jobs than a Democratic administration, which in the last 3 decades has never left office with a lower unemployment rate than a Democratic administration, which in the last 3 decades has never had higher GDP than a Democratic administration. What Republicans have done in every administration since I've been alive is inherit a strong economy from a Democrat, plunge us into a recession, Bush Sr., Bush Jr., and Trump, and then the Democrat takes over and inevitably cleans it up. Clinton, Obama, and Biden. This isn't my opinion, this is a fact. And the idea that Republicans are still pretending that they are somehow, on some planet, responsible stewards of the economy is a tacit admission that they have zero interest in even trying to be honest. You gotta love too how this is a party that constantly beats its chest as the alphas, where men are men, and yet you've got Chris Sununu here pledging his eventual, and let's face it, inevitable, allegiance to a guy who just got done shitting on him. The segment opens with Chris Sununu being read a screed by Trump outright trashing the guy, calling him unpopular and a liar and a showboat, and it takes all of 1 single minute before Chris Sununu says that he would vote for that guy. Because as I was saying, only real men, Republicans, know how to respond to being trashed on national TV. The reality is that far from being these alphas, Republicans want one thing: to be ruled. They want to be under the thumb of whoever seems to them to be the strongest man. All of these conservative commentators and media figures and politicians run around demanding that you know how strong and masculine they are, but the second they see Donald Trump, this 77-year-old reality reality TV star who can barely walk down a 10% incline and literally doesn't know how to spell the word stolen, they turn into the bachelorettes welcoming the bachelor to the mansion, each one more desperate than the next to get 30 seconds of alone time with him. If they were any more up Trump's ass, they would be able to escape out of his mouth. In fact, if you need proof that they want nothing more than to be ruled by him, look no further than the fact that literally none of them pushed back at this insane suggestion by Donald Trump that his perception of the presidency in the United States is that a president can do anything, even have a political opponent assassinated, effectively turning him into a dictator or a king.
President, do you agree with your lawyers what they said on Tuesday, that you should not be prosecuted or could not be prosecuted if you ordered SEAL Team 6 to kill a political opponent?
Well, you're talking about a totally different case, the immunity. I say this, on immunity, very simple. If a president of the United States does not have immunity, he'll be totally ineffective because he won't be able to do anything, because it will mean he'll be prosecuted, strongly prosecuted perhaps, as soon as he leaves office by the opposing party. So a president of the United States, I'm not talking just me, I'm talking any president has to have immunity. Numbers came out today that are really very mind-boggling if you happen to be Joe Biden. And I think they feel this is the way they're going to try and win. And that's not the way it goes. That'll be bedlam in the country. It's a very bad thing. It's a very bad precedent. As we said, it's the opening of a Pandora's box, and it's a very sad thing that's happened with this whole situation. When they talk about threat to democracy, that's your real threat to democracy. And I feel that as a president, you have to have immunity. Very simple. And if you don't, as an example, if this case were lost on immunity, and I did nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong, I'm working for the country. And I worked on very hard on voter fraud, because we have to have free elections. We have to have strong borders. We have to have free elections. Those two things almost above all.
And yet not a word from those staunch constitutionalists on the right. This guy says out loud that a president should have carte blanche to do quite literally anything and not face criminal prosecution, and the entire conservative ecosystem took it with a shrug. Why? Because they agree. They want it. They are too infatuated with Donald Trump to even consider speaking out against what is effectively the end of democracy. And granted, if Joe Biden said any of this, my God, you would have to prep the fainting couches across the entire country. There wouldn't be a single Republican in existence who wouldn't be out there decrying the fascist rhetoric of that wannabe dictator Joe Biden. But because Trump said it, and they've all taken up residence in the protective warmth of his colon, suddenly it's crickets from the purported party of the Constitution. So no, the Republicans are not interested in democracy, just like they've already proven that they're not interested in the rule of law or the Constitution. They want Donald Trump to reign over them, and they are willing to discard every single purported value they'd previously pretended to espouse before ultimately deciding, screw it, the only thing I care about is my fealty to this guy. And that's where we're at right now. So look, is it news that yet another Republican will inevitably throw his support behind Trump? Of course not. Just like it's not news that they will never put country over party, and that they will never bother supporting the Constitution the moment it becomes inconvenient for them. This is a party of groveling fanboys who wants nothing more than to be under the thumb of a supposed strongman who in reality has lost them every election since 2016. But you know what they say about love. Sometimes it makes us do crazy things. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.